Hello everybody and welcome. Over the past few weeks we've been talking about how to be a leader. We've been looking at different leadership traits, leadership qualities, what it takes to be an effective leader, what effective leadership is about. We've touched on leadership coaching, leadership in many different aspects. Now, in some cases, I think the conversation around leadership leads us to ignore some of those aspects which are less talked about, less visible, and therefore seemingly less important. But quite the contrary. In order to understand how to be a leader, you need to see all the facets of leadership. My name is Igwe. I have over 35 years experience creating, leading, and growing teams across 5 different markets, but also Europe, Middle East, and Africa through the international teams that I've led. Leadership runs through my veins. Today we're going to talk about one of those areas that I say is less talked about. It is motivating yourself. We're not going to talk about motivating others, which a leader does. We'll come on to that in another video, but we're going to talk about motivating yourself. Me as a leader motivating myself. And let me introduce this by saying I recently gave a webinar, an international webinar on this book, which I had co-authored, entitled Secrets of Working Across 5 Continents, Thriving Through the Power of Cultural Diversity. And I wrote a section in there on visionary and authentic leadership. Now I share this with you because not only in putting that book together over a 3-year period did we do a deep dive exchange discussion with over 145 different people who had to have lived in at least 2 countries to bring value to what we wanted to research. Through that, we came out with many different aspects around leadership, some of which I've touched on as leadership traits and qualities and abilities. But at the end of this webinar, one of the questions that was asked, which I thought was an intriguing one, which is what inspired me to bring this to you as a share. It was the fact that the question raised was, how do you motivate yourself as a leader? Which I thought was a fascinating question. Fascinating because we don't often talk about it, we don't often share. But how can you be a good, if not great leader, if you don't understand the fundamentals of how to motivate yourself? Now I have to say personally, I've never had any difficulty motivating myself, whether as an entrepreneur or whether as working in big corporate environments as I have over my entire career. Because it's all about the 3 things that I'm going to share with you now in terms of how to motivate yourself. And those 3 things are, starting off first with a strong mind. What do I mean by a strong mind? Well, imagine, I'm sure you remember the movies, images, stories of castles. Remember that castles were built generally on a hill, but if not in an area where around the castle was what we call a moat, so basically water, a river, a stream, and that castle was bang in the middle. It enabled the king or whoever was in that castle to be protected. The only way in and out of that castle was a bridge, a drawbridge that would be taken up and down as necessary. Now I want you to imagine your mind being like that. Your mind is your stronghold. Your mind has to be impenetrable. In other words, no negative noise, no negative feedback. Nobody's going to get in your way about the journey and the path that you are taking. Another image might be, it's like a bank vault. It's the vault in your body. You're not going to give the combination to anybody. You're not going to give the key to anybody to get into your mind and mess with it. You have to have an absolutely impenetrable mind. And you learn how to do that, and you learn it more and more. And the reason is, on the one hand, that nobody's going to take away what you are planning, what you are moving forward, what you desire to achieve as a leader. You have to have a strong, impenetrable mind. You need to work on it, and there are ways of doing that, but working on having a strong mind. The second one is having the right attitude. What do I mean by having the right attitude? Well, to make it simpler, you could say positive attitude. So don't be negative about anything, and don't allow anybody to be negative around you. The right attitude. The right attitude means being positive, being clear, being absolutely moving yourself forward, and being absolutely comfortable and balanced in yourself. There is also an expression, an attitude of gratitude, because you see, if you are grateful for what you are doing, grateful for what you have achieved, grateful for the blessings that you have as a human being and as a leader, that will make your attitude even more dynamite. It'll be so much more powerful, so much stronger. So you have to have the right positive attitude for everything that you do and everybody that you connect with. Look for the best in what you're seeking to achieve. So having the right attitude, and then absolute confidence. You need to have absolute confidence in yourself. You see, we live in a world where everybody has a point of view. There are those who will tell you, you're not doing right, you're not doing well, this is not the right way to go. Some of us may have been brought up in that environment, parents, teachers, friends, whatever, people who say, no, you're going down the wrong path. And maybe you are. If you're going down the wrong path, then of course, listen to them and come back on the right path. But if you have the right attitude, you'll know if you're on the right path or not. So you'll have absolute confidence. So confidence is about nobody is going to achieve this unless I do. There's an expression that says, if it's got to be, it's up to me. Whatever it is you want to do, nobody else is going to do it. And even if they're doing it because there's a race in your industry to do so, that's okay. In medicine, that's always the case. In science, that's always the case. Some university, college, professor, whatever, they're all trying to do the very best, the race to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. But if you focus on what you are doing, staying in your own lane, you will be absolutely able to get to the other side. See, being at the top as a leader can be very lonely. It can be very lonely because you don't know how necessarily to go forward, which is why you need to motivate yourself. Self-motivation. There are many other things that one can add, but I see those as the three fundamentals: a strong mind, the right attitude, and absolute confidence. Now, in this same webinar, interestingly, somebody said to me, okay, that's great, but what if I can't do it myself? How do I manage it? Should I be coached? And I answered the person who asked that question. I said, yes, absolutely. You need to have a coach. I think you need to have a coach anyway, no matter how successful you are. Today, I still have coaching, I still have mentoring, I have people who support me in what I do, because that is all part of growing as a leader. Because you can't always see how to improve on being an effective leader. You can't always see how those leadership qualities and traits are working out best for you. So how to become a leader is as much getting insight and input from other people. But why a coach, ultimately? There are many reasons, but I think one of the main things, especially in terms of this topic of motivating yourself, is accountability. Having an accountability partner, somebody who's going to say, what did you do? When did you do it? How did it go? What worked? What didn't? Why didn't it work? How can we improve on it next time? Did you meet your schedule, your timeline? Was anybody hurt en route? Should we manage? So all these questions come up in your conversation with your coach, and they help you adjust for the next time so that you continue to motivate yourself. Now, in rounding up, I think one of the key things in terms of how to motivate yourself is something which is called your why. Your why. Now, I don't mean why in a general sense. Why am I a leader? Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to do that? Why did I do that? Why didn't I do this? That's not the why we're referring to. And in another video, we'll go deeper into the why, because it's very, 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 very important. Your why is your motivating factor. It's your ultimate reason for doing what you're doing. So your why could be you want to change something fundamentally in your environment, in your world. It could be an extension of your dream. It could be an extension of your vision. It could be the vision itself. They're all intertwined, but the why is important. Why am I doing this? Because your why has to be so strong and so powerful, so transforming that you get emotionally connected to it. There's a reason why you want to achieve something, which, by the way, is not just why about I want to buy a new car, therefore I want to be a leader, earn lots of money and buy a new car. That is not a why in the sense that you will get to the place you want to. It's about a higher aspiration, a higher vision of yourself. So your why has to be so strong, why you're doing it, why you're pursuing this, why you're committed to this, why nothing is going to stop you getting there. That is your why. And when your why is so powerful, it'll draw every part of your body, your mind, your soul, your emotion. And therefore, when you do struggle, it'll pull you back up, because that's what motivation is about. It's about good times and not so good times. And in the not so good times, you've got to have something that is so powerful, it's drawing you forward, saying, get up. You've stumbled, but that's okay. It's not about stumbling and lying down. It's about stumbling and getting up. You've climbed that ridge, the next one. Keep on going. Where am I going? We'll talk about the why in more detail in due course. So, quick little story to end with. When I left a global brand, I resigned. This CEO, global CEO, got wind of this, and he was disappointed, I guess. So he sent me a letter, which I still have today because I think it's a very powerful reminder. He sent me a letter which started out saying how disappointed he was and felt that there was more that I could do, and this is the place for me, I should stay here, and so on. And then at the end of the letter, he wished me all the very best and told me that the new brand would be very lucky to have me, and I would go on to achieve great things. Now within that, for me, which part of the motivation would I take? The first part, which was somewhat negative, or the last part, which was positive? It's what I call a tough love letter. Tough love. Tough love in the sense of saying, this is not the right decision, but I wish you all the very best. I look at it and I say, the motivating factor for me was I did not want to fail. For me, failure was not an option. And on the other hand, I was encouraged by the fact that he saw things in me and felt I could go on and achieve other things in the other company. So motivation, and nobody else saw that letter. That was just between him and me, and that was between me and myself to say, get up, get going, prove to yourself that you can do this and that it is the right decision to make. So we have to motivate ourselves from the inside out, not from the outside in. So hopefully some of this has resonated with you. If it has, then please feel free to like, comment and share, and of course subscribe to this channel, and I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. Thank you.